Lovely Sunday. Glad you could join me once again. Plenty of things to talk about. A whole week has gone by, and what's still in the news? What's gone? What new stuff is in the news? Are we still talking about Sydney Sweeney and her blue jean ad? Is that done? We're finally done with that? We sure whip right through news stories these days. The New York shooting, that whole thing, oh, please. That was gone day one, pretty much. Maybe 2 days. And that was it. The Sydney Sweeney blue jean thing had a longer life. But I think we're past that now, too. I think that sowed enough racial division to have accomplished its job. And now we move on to something else. What else could divide us as a nation or distract us from things that are much more important, but no one really wants to let the American people know? So it's all, at least it seems to me, to be a lot of distractions, a lot of news stories that they're on a conveyor belt at lightning speed right in front of your face. What was that one? I don't know. I missed it. Did you see it? Nah, I missed it. They whip right on by. The mainstream news, I'm not talking about the mainstream media as far as news goes, but the news that should be important to us, that news is now, it's been replaced with the stuff that was like 15 pages deep in the newspaper or the TV shows like Entertainment Tonight and things. That's those are the main stories now. And the actual front page news from years ago, they barely really report on it. Like I said, it's mostly just distractions. They don't really want an informed populace. What a dangerous thing for the government and corporations and the upper echelon, if you will, of the power base. What a danger that is to them. An educated, knowledgeable, informed population that would look at certain stories that are put in front of us every day and are commented about and tossed around on social media by the millions upon millions of views and responses and all those stories. Imagine people actually paying attention to important stories and learning about them, doing some research instead of just skimming over a headline and then seeing what social media is saying about it. What a danger that would be. Oh, an intelligent population. Oof. It's obvious they certainly don't want that. And the mainstream media being in their pocket, being their propaganda wing, are doing their job by making sure the people don't know what's really going on and don't really have a lot of resources. You got to do a lot of work. It takes a lot of work these days to be informed about a topic. And even then, how is it presented? Is it biased the way it's presented? Of course it is. Who's presenting it? So you got to take that into consideration. Then you have to just have enough nuts in your head to figure it out, to kind of understand what's going on. And boy, that seems like a chore for a lot of people these days to actually reason things out and understand stuff. Well, anyway, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. It is another Sunday. We are live, and we love the support. Thank you so much, everybody. The show's really been taking off since I started a few months ago, and we all appreciate that. Thank you. I was just talking about that horrible report about Las Vegas. Las Vegas, it sucks. That's what it is, really. And I'm sorry. I know some people from Vegas, and I know people that worked there. But the bottom line is, it sucks. It's not fun anymore. And the cost is just prohibitive to anybody that wants to really go there to have a good time. They've cut all the amenities and just raised the price of everything. So now you go there for what? And if you do keep your ass in a seat long enough to get rated and to get comped on a few things, it's nothing. You get a voucher for some garbage buffet. Whereas years ago, they'd give you a room. You get a meal at the steakhouse in the casino or something. Now, man, those days are gone. Gone. I don't know if it's out of necessity that they're like, is their story, hey, we're on some bad times here and we had to cut back. I don't think so. I don't think the gambling industry is something that really falls on hard times unless there is something like a severe recession or depression. I think they make a lot of money, casinos. Trouble is they've gotten very greedy and they've cut out things that brought people to Vegas in the first place. So now they just want you to put money in their machines and buy their overpriced bottles of water and garbage meals that they serve at some chain restaurant that's in their casino with some famous chef's name to it, but it's all terrible. And they want, then they go, what happened? Where is everyone? Why aren't people showing up? Well, look at what you've done to the place. Look at what has happened. Another thing is the gambling. The gambling stinks now, too. And you're like, well, how could the gambling stink? It's always been the same. Not really. They've changed a few things. They have even money payouts on blackjack. They now have 3 green spots on the roulette wheel. Just little tweaks that give the house even more of an already big advantage over the player. And look, I'm not delusional. I know how gambling works, and I know how Vegas and Atlantic City and Reno work. That's the business they're in. They're in it to make money. Casinos aren't charities. You aren't going to have good odds when you go and sit down and play a game at a casino. It's made that way, and I don't think anyone's really fooled by that. We know they got to keep the lights on and the booze flowing. But the problem is, like I said, they don't want to give people those little fringe benefits that kept them coming back, even though they were literally reaching into your pocket, taking your money, your kids' college tuition. You can't just rob people like that and not give them a little something to go home with, a little story. Hey, yeah, I got my ass handed to me, but I'll tell you, they gave me a great room. The butler was nice, brought me some bottle of booze up to the room. Like little things like that really mattered. And I'm not even talking like mattered back, how old am I? I wasn't at the sands of the Sahara in Vegas back in the 60s, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking, relatively speaking, pretty recently. And the other thing is just the amount of table games, the personal interaction that you used to get, good or bad. It was a personal interaction. You sat down at a blackjack table and you had a group of people that wanted to win. They wanted a fun table. You had a dealer, one of these old guys that would tell you stories about old Vegas or Atlantic City or when he was in the Army, whatever it was. There was some amount of personality there. And now they've gotten rid of a lot of table games. I don't know what's going on, and I've talked to some people. They're doing away with the traditional table game. You can still find them. Go try to play blackjack at some of the big casinos on the Strip, you will wait for hours until a seat opens up. And the minimums start at $50, $25 if you're lucky. You think you're finding a $5 blackjack table? You're not. And there's a very limited amount of tables. And this goes for everything else. Roulette. Baccarat, I guess, is okay because they get like Asians. They know busloads of Asians are coming in to play that game. But they've looked at the stats. They've had some nerdy accountant bring the spreadsheets in to the board of directors at MGM and said 2 words, slot machines. And everyone went, oh, yeah, well, here's our numbers. Here's what we make on this game, and here's what we make on slot machines. So like I saw happening at some of the casinos in Atlantic City, they are clearing out the tables. You'll wait hours for a table game with a real human being and human interaction. Part of the fun that you get by sitting down at a blackjack table. Big hand, the dealer busts, the table goes wild, you're high-fiving people you don't even know. That's fun. That's Vegas. Now they want you to sit alone at a slot machine and dump every penny you've earned into it while you look around the room and see a 90-year-old with an oxygen tank and, this old woman smoking right next to him. And it's not the fun atmosphere anymore that Vegas used to be. And Atlantic City, too, So to blame it on the Trump economy is a cheap cop-out. You better step up, Vegas, because people are on to you. And, again, also, online betting and gambling. I just talked about it in the earlier segment here. Some people don't want the hotel or the steaks or anything. They just want to bet. And years ago, you had to go somewhere to bet. You couldn't just bet from your home. Now you pick up your phone. There's 1,000 apps that you could bet anything. Anything. So, again, maybe if you're into betting and you know that it's a fun, good time, someone comes back from Vegas and goes, dude, put your phone down. Let's go out and have some fun in Vegas. But that's just not the story with Vegas anymore. It's very sad. Very sad indeed. Okay, we're just starting here. What are you talking about? Stick around. 800-848-9222 is the phone number. We will take your calls, and there will be a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Yeah, we'll take some calls on this Vegas situation. I think a lot of people agree, especially people that go there. And the other thing I was bringing up is the fact that you have to fly there. We understand that. Some people live far away. You can't take a car. You got to fly to Vegas. Flying is just a pain in the ass these days. Going to the airport, getting on a plane, dealing with the delays and the cancellations, and the mental patients that are roaming the airports and sitting right next to you in your seat on the plane. So I don't know. How about Keith? Keith, Long Beach. How you doing, Keith?
Kevin, Long Beach.
Oh, it's Kevin. I'm sorry. I misread.
I got you. How you doing, Ed?
Good, man. Feeling good.
Yeah, I watch the Vegas Live PD a lot, and the homeless are swimming naked in the fountains in front of whatever that casino is, and stealing all the change that's inside.
The fountains at the Bellagio are getting plugged up with human feces. I think that's a maintenance issue.
Right, big petri dishes. And the hookers that used to be...
Situation is huge. That's really detrimental to every single city in this country, and Vegas can't afford that. I mean, they really need to clean that crap up.
Yeah, and there's no great shows anymore. There's the great stand-up comedians, and now they got these regions. What do you call them? when they stay there for like a month or 2 months.
Oh, yeah, the
Regency, whatever that is.
residencies. Yeah, they do residencies
Residency,
with
okay.
people. Yeah, the only acts worth seeing have been there for so long. There's nothing new that anyone wants to see. I mean, Penn and Teller, Penn and Teller have been there forever. And, that's something people would probably want to go see. But what are you going to, the Blue Man Group? What are you going to go see? It's like and another thing, maybe this is also something that digs into it, is the fact that you get all these comics and acts and things online. You get a Netflix special or something. You really had to go out and see these comics, whether it was in a club or if you were in Vegas, you'd want to see something live. Now, again, you could just do that at home and grab your phone and gamble on it and order an Uber Eats steak, and you got everything you would want.
Yeah, well, they built that sphere,
Yeah.
be a big attraction. I think
that's
Dolan's
supposed to be.
involved in that too, Tim Dolan. But they just did the Wizard of Oz, and they did it. They redid it all AI.
I saw that in the Sphere. It looks pretty cool, but here's another thing: they build this big sphere. I get it, but no one's going to Vegas specifically for the Sphere. So what you end up with is you've already got the people there. They're already in Vegas. You're not attracting them with the Sphere. It's just kind of an added thing for Vegas. So I don't know. They got to step up and start treating people a little better that are coming to their city. Thanks, Kev. It's Kevin, not Keith. What the hell I was talking about? Mike, you don't come to Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. What's up, Mike?
Oh, how you doing?
Good. And?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to talk. Thank you, Mike.
Sorry. I haven't been to Vegas since the late '90s, and mostly I go. Back then, I mostly went to bet on sports, and even back then, they were reducing the size of sports books to make room for slot machines.
Yes,
it used to be, you had a big area, screens all over. Tons of screens on the walls to watch all the games, and they would cut that down for more slot machines.
Yeah, slot machines are the thing that makes the casinos money, and they're also the worst thing in a casino. I mean, the players, the people that enjoyed Vegas and had fun were not playing slot machines. To me, slot machines were the pain in the ass thing you had to walk through to get to the table games. You're just walking through, looking at these people, smelling smoke. You're just hearing ding, 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 bang, 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 ding, 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 ding. And you just wanted to get to a seat, sit down, have a drink, and play some blackjack. Now they want the whole casino to be slot machines. Believe me.
Oh, yeah. It's like walking by a bunch of lab rats.
Yeah, it's disgusting. They're disgusting people sitting down playing the slots. Let's be honest. You wouldn't want to be. They got sitting there with a big festering leg wound, and the like I said, the oxygen tanks and the old ladies with the wigs on. It's terrible.
And they think they're lucky. I borrowed that from another comedian.
Yeah, they're all waiting for the big payout. Mike, thank you, my friend. All waiting for that big payout that will it'll never really come. Let's be honest. That big payday in a slot machine, you might as well just stay home and play lotto. I don't know what it is. But I guess they take that bus. Is there a bus like from Vegas? Because I know there's a bus from New York City to Atlantic City, and that takes a couple, 3 hours. I don't know what that would take from L.A. to Vegas. But the nightmare that would be sitting on that bus with those old retirees and the junkies and people that are just hoping to hit big, going to make that big, and their whole life will change. You just pull the lever. It's not even pull the lever anymore. It's not even fun for the slot machine. You see them sitting there. I've seen these videos where they just have the camera set up at one end of a line of slot machines, and these messes, these disasters are just sitting there slamming on a touch screen with their fingers, like trying to, I don't know what. I don't even know what the object is at that point. But it's not even like, okay, I'll put my dime in, pull the handle of the one-armed bandit, and hope for the big payout. It's not even fun in that respect anymore. They just sit there putting money in. They get a card. So the cash is on a card. They're not even putting real money into the machine. It's just a more efficient way to extract the money, your retirement fund, like I said, your kid's college fund, an annuity, the balance of your bank account, whatever it is. They want it, and they're going to get it, and they're giving you nothing in return. Step it up, Vegas. Come on. I remember the good old days. All right, people, back in a moment. Stick around. A lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show coming up. It is the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for tuning in. And every week, please, you know this. Every week, I toil, people. It is a chore, a job to find the clown of the week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
And boy, regardless or irregardless of how difficult it is to find one, you can always find a Clown of the Week between Washington, Hollywood, the corporate world, whatever it may be. The clowns abound. And I believe this is a repeat offender, or a repeat honor of being bestowed Clown of the Week. Mr. Chuck Schumer, once again, is the clown. Not, Chuck will never turn down an opportunity to sow division between the American people. If it's class division, racial division, religious division, Chuck Schumer is a pro, an expert, and he proves that once again. I think what Chuck is saying here is that voter ID, and we all know how the Democrats feel about voter ID. It's a terrible, racist thing to demand that Americans show an identification to prove that they are indeed American citizens who are qualified and legally allowed to vote. Why wouldn't you want that? Well, according to Chuck and the Democrats, it's terribly racist to ask minorities in this country to do something as insane and incredibly difficult as procuring an ID. It's, again, the soft bigotry of low expectations is what it's called. You don't literally come out and say something like, hey, you're much too stupid and incompetent as a group to do this. What they do is they just say, hey, if you try to make these people show an ID to vote, then you're being racist. It's protecting the minorities. You're not calling them stupid or incompetent or incapable of doing the simplest of tasks in this country, like procuring an identification. You are protecting them from the racists who would force them to do something way too difficult for them to actually do. Boy, isn't that a thin little wire to walk on. But here he is. Here's Chuck Schumer. Let's hear him talk about voter ID and bringing up, of course, Jim Crow. Let's listen.
Not going to let them revert to Jim Crow. And if you don't think they want to revert to Jim Crow, just look what they did in the SAVE Act, which went back to Jim Crow for the whole nation. By so making it hard, they said you need ID, and they made it so hard to show ID that probably half the people in America couldn't vote. We wouldn't let it pass.
Yeah. How is that hard? How is getting an ID hard? You know what they recently did? Even if you had an ID, they made it recently where you had to get something called a real ID. Oh, yeah. This is, if you want to fly, you need to show an ID, obviously. Now they made it where you have to show real ID, which I believe there was a little more scrutiny to getting the identification and calling it a real ID. But why wasn't that called racist or terrible? Now you're making people go back twice to get an ID. This is the Democrats doing what they do best, using and abusing minority communities in America for their own purposes, their own agendas, their own power to keep them in office longer. And they just kind of ignore them in between elections. They'll give them a little bit here, a little bit there. And then the election comes up and they're the most important people on the face of the earth. And then they just get rid of them again. And a lot of these minority groups in America, I don't know, do I hazard to say too stupid to see what they're doing? And I see a lot of videos of a lot of very smart people saying, look, I know what you're doing. And I wish the majority of some of these groups would be more cognizant of the fact that they're being used by the Democrats. They don't care. They're not hoping for a better life for you. They're hoping for a better life for them. It's what they've constantly done. So you get somebody like Chuck Schumer, and then Jim Crow. Really? Do you know how oppressive the Jim Crow laws were to minorities, especially in the places like the South? To even equate anything going on today to Jim Crow is an insult. And to try to say that requiring identification to vote is somehow equivalent to the oppression that blacks felt under Jim Crow. Again, why aren't more black people and minorities just pounding Chuck Schumer on this issue? We're not stupid. What are you doing? Why would you say we can't get an ID? It's one of the easiest things to do, is get an identification. And there's a place to get it anywhere you live. I don't care where you live. You can get an ID. But this is an issue that they want to stick to because, and I'm not breaking any new ground here, it's because they want people who are not legally allowed to vote in this country to vote. They want them to vote. They want illegal aliens to vote. They want convicted felons who lose their right to vote. They want them to be able to vote. And then they pander and cater to these minority groups with the promise, the false promise of all the free stuff. And we're giving you this, give, we care. And they vote Democrat. It's pretty simple to see. You really don't have to look too deep to see what their game is here. But to equate anything going on now with Jim Crow is just a terrible insult to minorities and what people had gone through back then. And it's also an insult to tell people that they're too stupid to do something as simple as just getting an identification in this country. You need it for everything. You need an ID for everything. Go to a hotel. Go to a hotel. Try to check in without an ID. Try to rent a car. Go ahead. Oh, I don't have an ID. It's racist. I shouldn't be forced to get an ID. Or, hey, I'm too stupid. I'm too stupid to get an ID, but I'd sure like to rent a car right now. No. How about getting into a building in New York City or probably many of the other cities around the country? Do you have business to take care of in a building in New York. You walk in and there's a security guard at the desk, and you will show him an ID and you will have your picture taken. And then you could go upstairs. What do you do in that case? Sorry, ma'am, you're much too stupid to come into our building. So how long is this lame Democrat ruse gonna go on? It's ridiculous. Let's see. Just checking the phone lines. Talk to Matt from the Bronx. Matt, what's up, my friend?
Hey, good afternoon, or good evening, rather.
Well, yeah.
So wanted to talk briefly about immigration and how it pertains to national security.
Of course.
Insofar as you mentioned Chuck Schumer, and of course, he calls himself the Shomer of Israel in the Congress. Shomer in Hebrew means guardian of Israel.
Right.
Now, the same open borders policies that he advocates for the United States is certainly not something that's tolerated in Israel.
Right.
Because Israel has a zero tolerance policy on illegal immigration. They have electrified, electronic, metal, solid borders.
Yeah, giant cement walls that are guarded. They have guards on those walls. Yeah, they have a very, very secure border.
And it's being paid for by American taxpayers, mind you, because you have to remember that Israel gets $4 billion with a B dollars in taxpayer dollars every year in the form of a grant, not even a loan. So again, the same policies. If the United States wants to enact the same policies here in the United States that Israel enacts in its own country, people like Chuck Schumer, and I have to say it, I'll just be completely honest. The Jewish minority in this country is very much left-wing, and it's very much open borders immigration inside the United States. But again, when it comes to their country, they don't want the same thing that they're advocating for everyone else.
Well, Matt, there's been, again, perception is a very, very strong tool that is used many times in politics. And there's a perception that Israel is this lone nation in the center of a lot of hostility, and they need that type of security to simply survive. And the perception of the United States is we're this giant melting pot. For years, it's the American way to let in anyone come in. They're all potential geniuses and CEOs of companies, and that's why people will look at America and say, yeah, open the borders. We asked for it. We have a Statue of Liberty. Bring us your, whatever. And Israel has always been the victim in a very hostile land where they need that type of border security for their own survival. So that's the way it's always been presented.
Yeah, and the reality is that the United States is opening itself up to hostile elements entering the country when we have no idea. When we have no idea who's coming across the border, what their intentions are, what their connections to foreign terrorist organizations happen to be.
I agree.
And again, we have millions of them inundating the country. And again, people like Chuck Schumer want to turn a blind eye. And whenever you want to say that, the United States was founded by immigrants, yes, by European immigrants. And you should want more European immigrants, people who can assimilate and contribute to the country.
Matt,
that's who you want in the country.
The second you start saying things like that, like Trump just recently said he wants to take refugees from Ukraine. And obviously he was taking refugees from South Africa. And what do people start saying? What did the left and Democrats, what did they start saying? Oh, because they're white.
You're a racist.
Oh, you're a racist. Why no breast? Sorry, did I just curse? I did. Punch out of that, could you?
Accidentally.
See, I'm so passionate about what I'm saying. that I actually used the F-bomb. Yeah, they've been running across the border unfettered for years now. So, the bottom line is it don't work. And Trump, he sealed up the leak. Let's be honest. Trump did a good job of cutting off the illegals streaming across the border. And look, if it was up to me, I would love to see him cut off aid to every foreign nation, regardless of their allyship to us, their supposed allyship to us, whatever it is, cut it off because we really need to fix our own internal problems here before we can even think about helping anyone out. Matt, thanks, man. Appreciate the call. I can't believe I cursed. I'm supposed to be a professional broadcaster. Hope I don't get in trouble for that. Anyway. Other thing, what time? 4? I got time. This is funny. Chris Cuomo, he admits that he was wrong. Chris Cuomo from CNN, Andrew Cuomo's brother, and he's been taking a lot of heat since he was dismissed from CNN about what he did when he was on CNN. He lied for the government, lied for CNN, and whatever they told him to spout off, he would, because that was his job. His job was to lie, to be a propaganda machine. And now that he's doing his own thing, man, and he wants to do podcasts with cool people, he has to admit that he was wrong. But he can't even admit that he was wrong because he had to follow orders. Just use the old Nuremberg excuse. I was just following orders. He somehow didn't know, which doesn't make him look any better. He looks pretty stupid by saying he didn't know, and that's why he was wrong, instead of, I damn well knew. I just chose to lie because that's what my bosses were telling me. So listen to Chris Cuomo here admitting he's driving in a car during this clip, by the way. He's like doing a little TikTok type video in his car, and he's admitting he's wrong. Listen to this.
Stuck in traffic. I'm remembering right now. Wow. I'm wrong a lot. We don't like to say it. We don't like to admit it. We really don't like to correct it. But that is how you grow and you get to a better place. And it is such a precious commodity right now. I've been wrong. I've been wrong about political issues. I've been wrong about people. I've been wrong about myself. I've been wrong about my responsibilities. I've been wrong about my opinions, my tastes, my choices. I've been wrong. And that's okay. Hopefully you learn. Hopefully when you're wrong, you get to a better place if you do the work, unless you stubbornly hold on. And that's where so much of us are stuck. It's not just being wrong, it's refusing to learn what's right. I've been wrong. Have you been wrong? If you say no, you're wrong.
Oh, God. He's trying so hard to slip back into mainstream relevance by, this little mea culpa he's doing that, hey, I was wrong. You're wrong. We're all wrong. But knowing you were wrong, no. You're not getting off that easy, Pally. You weren't just wrong. You were lying. If you honestly make a mistake, if you honestly believe something and act on that belief and then realize it's wrong and address that, that's fine. That's what he was talking about. You make mistakes, you learn from them, obviously. But to blatantly lie, because look, I've called him an idiot, retard, things like that, but I don't think Chris Cuomo's really a stupid person. I think he knew when his bosses were telling him to say certain things about the COVID vaccine or talk about Biden being sharp as a tack and Trump is a 34-count felon and all that stuff. That's not being wrong. That's lying. And then just saying, hey, I was wrong, but I learned from my mistakes and we're all wrong. If you say you're never wrong, you're wrong. you're doubling down on your lying. You can't be honest and say your bosses, you're getting a righteous paycheck, and your bosses told you, here's the paper today, Chris, here's what you're supposed to say about Biden. You know, they said some pretty lousy things about him today over on Fox, and some of the Republican politicians are saying that he's incompetent, he's mentally impaired. So here's your sheet. We handed it out to all the mainstream media, and you just parrot this like a good boy. Okay. And he did. And now he drives in his car and goes, oh, boy, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And we all go, it's okay, Chris. We've all made mistakes, and as long as we recognize them. No, big difference between being wrong and lying. And Chris Cuomo is a liar. Back in moments. It's supposed to be a nice family show, and I let one slip. Thank God there is astute and aware people working at the studio there to cut off my foul language when I say it. I drop F-bombs every, 10 minutes in my just normal daily conversation. So, every so often, I guess when I'm really just feeling comfortable in what I'm talking about, it might slip out. But again, technology, thank you, technology. You've helped me out. See what else is going on here that kind of annoyed me over the course of the week. A man was kicked out of a St. Louis soccer club game for wearing a MAGA hat. I guess it was policy of the arena they were in that no, and here's what they do so they can almost sound like they're being fair. They say no political messages. No political messages. Now, this is just an excuse because, truth be told, if you're a private business, you could just tell anyone to leave for no reason. If that reason is determined to be some type of civil rights violation, then the person can be held liable, maybe in civil court or what have you. You can't just kick someone out for being a certain nationality or ethnic background, color. There are laws against that. Other than that, you could pretty much tell somebody to get out of your establishment and don't have to give them any reason. And if you call the police don't have to give the person a reason. If that person doesn't leave, they can be arrested for trespassing. And I've seen so many of my favorite videos, the police body cam videos, where a lot of people can't get that through their head. Why? Why am I being kicked out? Why did they tell me to leave? No, I need a reason. And it's simply, you have to go. You just have to go. You were being a disturbance. You were causing a scene. You were yelling at the staff, whatever it is. And then they go, well, I had a reason for that, and here's the reason. Doesn't matter. The cop is not going to negotiate with the owner or the workers at the establishment, and then, you're going to be free to stay there again. It's over. You're gone. Goodbye. And I guess it works that way at the soccer club. But to say political messaging, this was a MAGA hat. It literally said, "Make America Great Again" on the front. Didn't say Donald Trump. Didn't say Republican. Make America Great Again. That statement is a political term at this point. It's it'll get you thrown out. Meanwhile, gay pride flags were waving all over the stadium. And if you don't think that's not a political statement, waving a gay flag, and I wouldn't want them kicked out, whatever. But make America great again. Let's play a little bit of this guy as he's getting removed from this establishment. I don't know what this really sounds like. I don't think it's all that thrilling, but hear what he says.
We're on cameras up here. Hey. No, I just want to make sure I just listen. Yeah, what's up? I'm Michael Weitzel. I'm being asked to leave by the police because of Donald Trump.
Hey, I'm a Donald Trumper.
You're a Trump
fan. Yes, I am.
So I just want
all these cops you got to deal with them, but they're not political here. They don't want any kind of political.
So those flags over there.
Those are pre-approved.
Those flags over there. Those
Pre-approved.
So my question to you guys is: are these rules equally enforced on everybody?
And here's my question to you.
And the only way I can do that is if I enforce it with you.
Or you just go out.
Go out and handcuff. So I'm being threatened with arrest. What law am I breaking? What am I?
We ask you to leave.
Trespassing.
You're asking me to leave. Am I being evicted from the premises?
You're being evicted from the premises. You want to make a big...
Okay. We're going to walk up. I'm being evicted from the premises because of Donald Trump, because we can't wear Donald Trump hats in public. And so now I'm being evicted from the premises.
Yeah, you could cut it off right there. He's being thrown out because he's got a hat that says "Make America Great Again." And the issue is there are gay flags there, and they go, well, that's pre-approved. One cop actually said, look, I'm MAGA. I love Trump, but that's the policy. Another cop was getting a little rambunctious there. Hey, you want to go in cuffs? Yeah, I'll take you out in cuffs. And, they could do whatever they want. Obviously, somebody in charge at the stadium has a hard one, can I say, for Donald Trump, and he had to go. But he was nice. He was peaceful. They didn't have to arrest him. He just, again, asked, why am I being escorted out? And it's trespassing. And any private business can do this. So be aware of that. A lot of people get in trouble thinking their rights extend into private businesses. Some of them do. But as far as being allowed to just loiter there and stay when you're told to leave, not so much. Not so much. All right, stick around. The second hour of the Anthony Cumia coming up in moment. Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful Sunday evening. See a little something good on a Sunday. You don't just have to sit there and go, God, work tomorrow. That's what my Sundays are. I go, I got to work tomorrow. Hey, wait a minute. I really have to. Not a real job. But, most of the time, Sundays are pretty depressing. But I can make them even better by telling you everything to be depressed about in this country and world. But, we just played a little segment there on some guy. Unfortunately, he was killed at a bus stop trying to protect somebody, and he got stabbed in the neck. A stranger, trying to protect a mother and her two kids, strangers to him, and he saw somebody looked a little sketch and got in between the sketchy guy and the mother, and he took a knife to the neck and died. Don't be a hero. Just don't do it. We just don't live in a place where you could do that anymore. It's terrible, but that's just the way it is now. And maybe it changes at some point. There's just too many people out there ready, willing, and able to kill you. And if that's not the case, like I said, plenty of people that mean well and do what they think is the right thing end up in jail, losing everything going through the process of getting justice. And then they're found not guilty, but their life is pretty much over financially. Can't get a job. You think somebody's going to hire you? Some company is going to Google your name and see that you were up on charges and went to trial for something that the media portrayed as racist? Meanwhile, you were just trying to protect somebody. And then that's it. So it's not just a life ending if you get killed. It's life ending in a way, even if you don't, and you get run through this system. And, I hate to say it, but if push comes to shove and you have to do something to protect yourself, it has to be very concise. It has to be very fast, and you can't dwell on it. You can't do anything to give anyone an excuse to say you were doing something for another reason. If that guy was watching the bad guy, let's say, and he saw him pull a knife out and somehow got it out of his hand and killed him, he'd have to go. He might have to go to trial for it. But, that quick, something being that quick, not standing there with the knife, calling him names, letting time pass by where you're going, well, he could have walked away at this point. It's got to be fast, definitive, like bam, very decisive. So I just hope to never, ever be put in one of those situations. I walk away from a lot of things. Maybe years ago, is it an age thing? Is it that wisdom that comes with age where you go, I'm just not physically cut out for this? But, you carry a gun and you don't have to be physically cut out to do something if you're carrying a firearm, the great equalizer. But then you better be prepared for those consequences. Even if you're 100% in the right, they put you in a bad place. I've said things in jest on my Shock Jock show. I've talked on social media. I've said things, either joking or serious social commentary. All this stuff would be thrown at a jury if I had to use deadly physical force to protect my own life. And I would be up against my own self. Everything I've said over the course of the years that could be interpreted as being racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, whatever. Your worst witness these days is you and what you've previously done and said, whether it was serious or in jest or part of your job, it doesn't matter. Who's the witness? Oh, it's you. Well, I'm not taking the stand. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Here's everything you've done and said for 10 years. Hope you get a comfy bunk with somebody that has a low libido. It's terrible, man. So don't do anything. I'm really telling you that, people. Don't do anything. Walk away. Who is it? A little kid? Little kid looks like Shirley Temple. And the mother, help, help, help. I'd love to. I'm walking in the opposite direction. Maybe people think differently. I've talked to a few people on other shows when I've talked about stuff like this, and they go, no, I can't do that. I have to do something. I could not live with myself if I just walked away. Well, live with yourself in that cell. When 58% of the population in the jail thinks you're a racist. Do that. See how great living with yourself is under those circumstances, my friend. I'll tell you one thing. I will shuffle off, whistle a happy tune, and not think twice about what's happening behind my back. Ain't going to do it. Now, for my own personal life, if my life is being threatened, my loved ones, my family, something like that, oh, yeah, I'm going to the boards as far as that's concerned. But again, it would have to be very quick and very, just very decisive. What's the situation? This is absolutely a threat against mine or a loved one's wife. So I'm going to do what I got to do. A stranger? Sorry. This ain't a movie. This ain't a movie where you save the stranger and great things happen. Please. Don't work that way. Yeah, I guess we could take a quick call here. Pete? Pete from the Isle of Staten. What's up, Pete?
Hi. You know, my feeling on it is a lot of these mentally ill people who I've been surrounded with family, friends, and everything, and I know it quite well. They happen to be repeat offenders in most cases. And the thing is, to get them into some kind of a program that they are comfortable at, like one person I know is doing culinary school. What they're going to do it or not, I don't know, but that's a step in the right direction, because if people find a love for something, that usually keeps them steady.
Wait. You're telling me they put a crazy guy in culinary school where he has access to knives of various lengths and sharpnesses?
Well, it's a school that's looked over, and they actually do like Meals on Wheels and stuff. They, the conveyor belt and stuff like that. But they have programs like that.
I would think you find a good. I would think you find a good company where you could have them stuff foam rubber into couches or pillows.
You're right.
A
You're
pillow
right
factory
like said,
would be great for a crazy person.
Right. I mean, I've been in jail, but on the right side of the law, I was a confidential informer. And,
I've been in with
as they call it. Killer prisoners and everything.
A rat.
I actually got a confession out of one guy, which they end up saving a girl that he buried alive, but that's like 40 years ago.
Jeez, that sounds like a movie of the week. Did you? Were you going to jail? Were they telling you go to jail or you're a CI?
No, they put me in there because I was with the police department, and that was something I was good at, getting a confession out of somebody. But it wouldn't work today because with all the liberals and everything, they'd be on top of it. All these lawyers, would be on top of it. But, with a lawyer, the worst word you could tell them is adjournment. If you just keep getting adjournments, you could postpone something until you die and you get out.
That's what they do.
So if you have the money, to do that, like a lot of these celebrities, like Bill Cosby, may rest in peace. I worked with him. When he was Mr. Huskable. I loved him, But the bad side of things with women, women should never be taken advantage of. But I worked in the theater business, and there was the tryout couch. I mean, I'm sorry.
The producers,
people, That's the business.
Couch
that's
audition.
The business. Right,
all right, Pete. You sound like you've been involved in many things, Pete. But I appreciate the phone call. There goes Pete. I think Pete wanted to talk more, and that's fine. But we got to go on to other things. I saw a movie last night. I definitely want to say more than I have in the next few minutes before we got to take a quick break. But it's on Netflix. It's called American Primeval. And it kind of fits the mold of what my take is on these Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Hulu. All these platforms are putting out exclusive content and movies. And while I enjoy some of them, I think there's an absolute scam going on here, if you could call it a scam. There's something going on, and I think a lot of people are being roped into this, and it's doing these platforms well, but it's not really helping out as far as people that want quality, good entertainment goes. So I'll tell you before the break, I did like it. I liked this American Primeval, but I did have some issues with it, too. Back with that in moments. More of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around. I was watching this show on Netflix, American Primeval. It's a story about Utah and the wild wilderness of Utah back in the 1820s, 1830s, around there. A lot of pioneers heading west, trying to get a better life in California, going through Utah. It was a rough and tumble place, let's say. A lot of these outposts full of nefarious people and Indians and mountain men and soldiers with the cavalry. And then I had no clue about this part of it. Mormons. Now, it's Utah, and you go, obviously, Salt Lake City, Utah, the headquarters of the Mormons. But I had no clue what was going on with the Mormons back then. They were nuts. Now, regardless of how nutty you think they are now, boy, not even the polygamy thing, the people, Brigham Young, with 20, 40 wives, and what's his name? Joe Smith. Was he the guy that kind of started the whole thing? I'm not even going to get into the religion aspect of it, but this was the series. It's 6 episodes, about an hour each, little under an hour for each episode, and it's a limited series. So you're done after 6 episodes, which I love. Very fast. But here's where they get you. They will give you 2 or 3 episodes that are amazing. They hook you, rope you right in. I will tell you, the first episode of 90% of the original programming on these peripheral platforms are great. That first episode, because they know, man, you hit play and the credits roll, and within a minute, there is more action, and you going, what the hell just happened? And that ropes you in and hooks you. Then by the 3rd episode, they start screwing around. And you go, this kind of fell off. But in a 6-episode limited series, you're along for the ride. You're not cashing out. You're going to stick in. You're going to stick in and watch the whole thing. And that's what I did. A lot of action and really brutal. Like battles between pioneers and Indians and the cavalry, and a lot of brutal murders. But the thing I didn't know about was this Mormon thing. There was a massacre. There was a guide that was supposed to take some people across the Utah pioneers, or they were taking pioneers across the frontier in Utah. And the Mormons had decided, because they were booted out of a couple of places, Illinois and then I think Missouri, and they ended up in Utah, and they were like, yeah, we're not getting booted out anymore. We don't want anybody on our land. They had made Brigham Young the governor of Utah, and that gave him some power, and they had an army. They had their own militia, and they were just killing people. I didn't know this. I even looked it up afterwards, and there's, some dramatization to this American Primeval series. But that part of it was, they massacred a bunch of people. And it's like, I think the Mormons and Scientology are a couple of religions that you could kind of really goof on without much pushback. You're not really going to get a lot of pushback from it. Christianity, of course, you'll get pushback, but it seems you could goof on it with impunity. I mean, that whole idea that Jesus Christ Superstar with the black woman witch from Wicked, they showed her with the crown of thorns, and she's up on this neon light crucifix singing, and she looks like Nosferatu. And it's just, it was infuriating. But we don't do anything about it. See, that's the problem. We don't really go, oh, hey, that's got to stop. Try that with Islam. Give that a whirl. Or with Israel. Try really, criticizing that whole thing. See where that gets you. Try goofing on it. Make a little joke about Islam or the Jewish religion. Christianity, you could goof on that to your heart's content. No one's going to do anything. They'll get mad. They'll comment on it. But Mormons and Scientology, it's like everyone's goof punching bag kind of a thing. So I didn't know. I would have thought a show like this, they really would have been out in full force protesting. like Mormons going, no, this is terrible. But there hasn't really been a pushback. And it's the number one watched show on Netflix right now. Very entertaining. They got a couple of pretty good actors in it. But a couple of things were ridiculous. That's what I was talking about. By the third episode, it gets a little ridiculous. There's one part where a woman, she's in this little pioneer wagon train thing, and the Mormons and Indians unite for a moment to kill the entire bunch of pioneers. And some of them lived through it, and the women lived through it, so they kind of just gave them to these Indians. And the Indians killed all of them but one because the woman was kind of strong. And one of the braves saw her and was like, oh, she look 'em strong. We'll take her back to my teepee. And that's what happened. And like within a week, she's wearing Indian clothes and totally sympathetic to the Indian cause. And she's almost speaking Indian. A week went by. Her husband is still looking for her. He was another survivor. And she's just like, I am with you now. It was so ridiculous. So the writing definitely falls off after the first couple of episodes in every single one of these limited or mini series that they put out. So I found it funny, though. I found it pretty entertaining. It's action-packed. The cinematography. How about I talk about that? The cinematography was just sweeping vistas. And yeah. Mike wants to talk about American Renaissance. That's different. What do you want to talk about, Mike? Mike?
And I called in a few weeks ago asking about recommendations for getting educated on guns, and you sent me to my local shop. And you were right, man. They love talking about guns, and they got me hooked up. So I want to say thank you, man, for... Yeah, man. This week I saw you talking with Gavin about that Sydney Sweeney thing, the commercial, and the response from the woke left.
Yes.
And yeah, man, that's. I think you guys are spot on with that. You know, I think that was the final straw. The woke left has literally towed Arthur Fonzarelli behind a speedboat, up a ramp, and over a great white man. They have jumped the shark, and people are done with it.
Yeah, doesn't it seem passé? Me and Gavin were talking about that. You see, like, these videos I see on social media, and it'll be a gay guy, and he's in a dress, and he's got a big beard, like literally a beard on his face, not a fake wife. And he's acting like a caricature of a woman. Women don't act like that. So it's a caricature of a woman. And I'm watching it and going, this isn't outrageous. It's not anger-inducing. It's sad, and it's old. It looks old. It looks like something like, oh, right. And I mentioned to Gavin, I said, remember when grunge first started coming out and that 80s hairband thing had reached such a level of ridiculousness that no one could even believe it was that insane anymore? That's where we're at with a lot of the issues that were so important to them. I got to take a break, but I'll be right back in moments. The Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I think we have some fake news here. Could that possibly be? That's right. Fake news. Did I catch it? Did I surprise you with that one? Need a little time for the sounder? Yeah. Fake news? Did you get it?
Now.
Fake news, folks. Fake news.
It's the fake news.
Fake stories.
News moment.
Sorry about that. I caught him by surprise there. Fake news. Yes. Who could be focused upon for fake news today? Of course, it's Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff. Shifty Schiff, as Donald likes to call him. He is around any news organization that's willing to put him on. He will stand there and blatantly lie to the American people. That's all he does. He was a huge part of the Russia collusion hoax. He said he put his face on camera in front of the American people and said that he had seen irrefutable evidence. He saw the evidence, and it's coming out in days, that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to win the 2016 election. And we all know now that was complete garbage. Hillary and Obama and James Comey and so many more of those people committed a crime. They did. And came up with this lie, forged fake documents, all just to try to prevent Donald Trump from winning and get Hillary Clinton in there. And we all know now it was a lie. And Adam Schiff was a big part of that. And somehow he's still there. How does this happen? Because nothing ever really gets solved. Let's be honest. Nothing ever really happens to any of these people. So here's Adam Schiff. And there's a couple of things here. He's trashing Trump on jobs. And then trashing him on building the extension, the ballroom at the White House. And trashing Trump on the Bureau of Labor stats, saying that Trump fired the woman that Obama had appointed because these stats have been garbage and more lies for a couple of administrations so far. So let's hear Shifty Schiff talking about Trump.
So the country just got the worst jobs report since the pandemic. 3 consecutive months of practically no job growth, stagnant job growth. That is not only the worst since the pandemic, but you'd have to go back to the Great Recession before that to find a worse jobs report. Trump's response, let's fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Standards so that the American people don't hear bad news like this. But he says, don't worry, because he's got a plan, and his plan is he's building a $200 million ballroom at the White House. That's right, this ballroom is going to be larger than the entire existing footprint of the White House, and he's going to build the ballroom to look a lot like Mar-a-Lago. Isn't that just great news? Because the reality is Donald Trump's personal economy is going great. He just got his 3rd Air Force One, because only having 2 Air Force Ones, well, it can be very inconvenient. So we get the ballroom on the way, and not to worry about the cost of this thing, money that, frankly, $200 million could build a new hospital or build several schools. No, he says he's going to pay for it, and he's going to raise money from other donors to pay for it. Well, first of all, you're never going to see any money from Donald Trump for this. That's just not his style. So other people are going to put up the money, and it's going to be just another opportunity for graft from the president, because the people who are putting money into this boondoggle of a ballroom are going to want something in return. So you're seeing your food prices going up. You're seeing your job prospects sadly going down. Inflation continues to tick up. But Donald Trump says, don't worry, he's got just the ballroom for you.
Oh. Every indication is that inflation is going down and has gone down. Prices are down. You don't hear people really bitching about the price of food anymore. You know, during the Biden administration, do you remember the amount of videos you would see online of women literally crying in the parking lot of supermarkets? They put their phones, I'm not saying they're not weak, but they would put their phones on their dashboard, stream or record something for TikTok, and cry as they said, how the hell am I going to afford food and rent and everything for my family? Because the prices are way too high. I haven't seen those videos of late. Prices are down. The price of energy is down. And Adam Schiff cannot stop lying about this. The Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is someone appointed by Obama. They lied about the Biden job numbers every time. They would crow about these amazing job numbers. And then they would recheck them. And months later, on page 18 of some rag newspaper, They go, oh, we had to redo the numbers, and it seems there weren't as many jobs. And then they were talking about federal jobs, government jobs. That doesn't help the economy. That's not a real helper when taxpayers are paying for the jobs. And now you have Donald Trump cutting a lot of these government jobs. And then the jobs report comes out and they go, look how many jobs were lost. Yeah, redundant government jobs that taxpayers were burdened with paying 10 people for the job of one person. And they were all put there so Biden could go, look how many people I'm putting to work during my administration. Yeah, by giving them redundant jobs in government. And then the Air Force One thing. Oh, we needed 3 Air Force Ones. Are you going to be honest and say that the 2 Air Force Ones currently in service are over 30 years old? For a huge airframe like a 747 that's been modified and is used for something as important as transporting the president of the United States, yeah, you want something a little newer than 30-year-old airplane. And how much was that, Adam? How much did the third one cost? Oh, nothing. The country of Qatar decided that they had one laying around. Trump made a deal, and he's getting it for nothing. Because Trump doesn't want to fly around on a 30-year-old plane. And the ballroom, extending the White House, making the White House bigger? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? What is with the White House that it has to stay exactly like it is? And by the way, other presidents have done things over time. Put the bowling alley in, the movie theater, things like that. Change the outside. They're all mad. They go, he dug up the rose garden and cemented it. Like, no. Not quite. The rose garden is still there. They put pavers over the grass for upcoming events. And all these things could be changed with the next president. It's not a big thing. Maybe not the ballroom, but what's wrong with making the White House bigger, extending it? And by the way, Schiff doesn't think Trump will pay for it out of his money and out of donor money. Trump can raise money like no one's business. And for something like that, another part of the White House, the taxpayers aren't going to be paying for that, which is more than can be said for anything the Democrats have decided, anything Adam Schiff and his ilk have come up with have cost us all dearly. And Donald Trump, he doesn't even take his pay to be the president. That goes to charity. And you know, being patriotic and putting the big flagpoles, waving the 2 giant American flags on the White House grounds. How that wasn't done before is amazing to me. But Adam Schiff knows best. He's the guy. He's the one we should look at. Oh, just more lying. And he'll get up there. He'll say it. He does not care. He's a liar. He's a criminal. I'd love to, see him indicted for one of his many crimes over his tenure. But we will never, ever see that. Let's see. We got Paul from Queens. Hey, how you liking AOC? She doing good for you over there in Queens, Paul? Oh, no? Stop listening to the listening device and listen to the phone there, Paul. How you doing? All right. We'll just hang up on Paul. He'll get to the part where I address him, and he'll keep talking to his radio until he realizes, oh, wait a minute. He hung up on me. How did that happen? Let's see. Well, Brian, I know Bill Cosby came up before, Brian, but why on earth would you have a comment about Bill Cosby?
Well, I figure the CI guy is either in the loony bin or you're breaking news because I didn't know Bill Cosby died.
See, that's what I thought. I didn't say anything.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, but I was thinking, I don't think Bill Cosby's dead.
Once he said rest in peace, I said, you know what? He made reference to a relative in the loony bin. I think he's pulling you from the loony bin.
Yeah. The whole CI and working with the late Bill Cosby and stuff.
Exactly.
What am I going to do, though, Brian? I'm going to sit there and argue with the guy or just go, hey, thanks.
No. No. I just wanted to see if you really had breaking news that I didn't hear about. I was on vacation. I thought maybe I missed it.
No. What's her name died, though, there from WKRP in Cincinnati?
Lonnie Anderson?
Lonnie Anderson. The one with the big...
She passed away? What?
She's dead. Yeah.
I got you.
She just died.
Oh.
She's up there at the pearly gates. Burt Reynolds greeting her with a right hook. And it's... I thought Bailey... I liked Bailey from WKRP better than Lonnie Anderson.
So did I. I always did.
Yeah, she was like the girl next door, kind of cute look. And Lonnie Anderson was like the big bubble-headed blonde with it looked like her hair was full of hairspray, like my Nana's hair. I wanted nothing to do with it. I don't
think, what she portrayed on camera wasn't too far off to what she did to Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. That's kind of true. Bert always wins in the end, though. See, she's dead.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Thank you, my friend. Bill Cosby is indeed alive and well, much to a lot of women's, as they say, chagrin. Chagrin. You got time for one more call? Chris. Chris from Bethpage, Long Island. What's up?
Hey, Anthony. I told you I was going to call you a year from now, but I think I got a call less than 3 weeks. I told you that the Epstein file things was going to just dissipate, and you said, I want to hear, Chris. Okay, I'm just saying. Listen, it may still be a thing, but so many things happen in the news, and
distractions happen. That's all it is. It's distractions. I knew the Epstein thing would just go away. It's gone. It's gone. No one cares. No one cares. It's like Trump was there. Oh, my God, he's on the list. He's in trouble. It's good. And then it goes away.
Right. Exactly. And I love you, Anthony, and I listen to you all the time. The big thing right now is, to me, is I know it's boring to everybody else, but I work on Wall Street, is the, lowering the interest rates.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's a big thing for everybody. I'm looking to sell my house, and all I care about is if they lower the interest rates. I want to refinance on my car. That's going to be the biggest news. And
why? Now you work on Wall Street there, Chris. Why the hell do you think this guy won't lower the rates?
I'll tell you, it's totally political. There's no doubt about it. And he hates Trump, and he's way behind the curve. And you know what? This has never happened before, Anthony, ever. 2 of the governors have come out against him, which is it's totally political. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and he definitely in September they're going to have to lower the interest rates. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to refinance on my car. I'm just telling everybody out there, there's no doubt they're coming down. And, once again, if you want to buy a house or if you're looking to sell a house, wait till September.
Lower rates. A lot of people go out and they pull the trigger and buy a house. So it helps everybody as far as that goes. It hurts, it hurts you if you're in equities, but what are you going to do?
Right. But I'll also say this, Anthony, which is crazy, is they had to redo the numbers that were lost, the job numbers. They just had to, once again, I know I'm boring the hell out of everybody.
No, because it was a big story today that Trump, fired the person, the Bureau of Labor Stats, because of the numbers and the numbers having to be redone and coming in under what Trump would have wanted. So what's your take on that? You seem to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, my take on it is very simple. The way that they're redoing, the fact that they are coming and saying that 2 months after that they have to redo the numbers, and the way that they do it is ridiculous. Like, in other words, we're in the modern age now with AI and everything. Yeah. You should know where the job numbers are. You should know. And I hate to say it, I really do. It's very political. There's so much that's still out there against Donald Trump. They really are.
Yeah, and they always will be. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, no, but what I love is Trump is going to clean house with all these people. And, one of the women resigned already.
I hope so.
Trump's going to bring in his own people, and we're going to get a clean record. And
Chris? Yeah. I got to move on, Chris, but thank you for calling. Yeah, when? I mean, look, I'm telling you people, I'm a Trump guy. Don't worry about it. But a lot of times I hear people talk and they go, oh, I can't wait for this. Oh, wait for this. Oh, my God, when Trump does this. When? I want to see it done now. Everything from, holding people accountable, indictments. There should be indictments, firings. Hold some of these prosecutors accountable and judges for letting people roam the streets like animals. All that has to be done. We hear about it. Law and order. I will restore law and order. And I know he's a president. He can only do so much. Obviously, states have their own rights. Cities have their rights. But, if you're just going to go, yeah, we're going to see it. It's going to happen. Show me. How about that? Show me. Back in a couple, I'm just looking to see what we got here. Eric Adams. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about Eric Adams because Eric Adams seems to think that buying an automatic weapon, which is a machine gun to the layman, is easier than buying a cell phone. Oh, yes. He said that. Back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. After the mass shooting that happened in New York City, was that a week ago? Whatever. I don't know, because it just disappeared. It just disappeared from the news. The only thing that sort of remained was this oily residue of gun control regulation. You get a lot of these politicians, they love using these instances of mental patients, homicidal maniacs, criminals who've had records before and shoot up places. It's never the person. It's never the reason. It's the guns. We got to do something about the guns. We've got to do something about your guns, Marty. And that's, again, what it was this time. And, of course, Eric Adams was right there with the rest of them. Governor Hochul, another one, Mamdani. They all come out of the woodwork and want to ban assault weapons again. And what I've always noticed about this when they come out, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, ever. If I profess to be so passionate about a topic that I was going to go out and protest or debate, whatever it may be, if I was going to go out and try to argue my point on a topic, I would make damn sure I knew everything about it, every detail, every nuance. But the anti-Second Amendment group, boy, they don't know, they don't want to know what is going on with guns. They don't know about the statistics, who are using guns in crimes and murders. They don't know about guns. How do they work? What constitutes a semi-automatic, an automatic? What's the difference between a clip and a magazine? Does an AR-15 fire a bullet that will put a 3-foot diameter hole in a brick wall? They seem to believe that. They don't know what they're talking about. And, Eric Adams was a cop. I would assume he knows a lot about firearms. If I assume he knows a lot about anything, he seems pretty stupid. But here he is talking about buying automatic weapons. Before he even talks, automatic weapons are pretty much banned in this country. The only way you're getting one is by getting some federal firearm license, paying tens of thousands of dollars, and you can only buy a weapon that was, I think, made before 1992, maybe even the 80s. I'm not sure the actual year because I've never tried to get a fully automatic gun. But apparently, according to Eric Adams, you could get one easier than you could get a cell phone. Listen to this.
We cannot respond to senseless gun laws through visuals. It must be responded through legislation. It is time to turn the corner of a society where automatic weapons are as easy to get as a cell phone.
Yeah, because I know when I go into the Apple store and I get my phone, I'm there for, if it's crowded, a half hour. Sometimes it takes a while to get the guy. And then you give me your information. He gives you the phone. You could leave right after that. I could just do the rest at home, transfer everything over. Or you could do it right there at the store. But if it's a light day there and you have someone from the time they come up to help you to the time you leave, half hour, a few bucks. I could just go to a gun store and a half hour later, less than a half hour because he said it's easier, I could just walk out with a fully automatic machine gun. This is the type of drivel that Eric Adams and people like Governor Hochul put out there. Whenever there's a tragedy like a mass shooting, these morons can't get in front of a camera fast enough and spew their ignorant nonsense about guns. Legal, law-abiding gun owners are some of the most responsible people you'll see in this country because they know they have to be responsible with firearms. The people causing the problems are not the legal people that you are legislating against. Their goal is to make legal, law-abiding gun owners gun criminals by putting laws in place that now make a regular gun owner a criminal. We go into our 10 o'clock hour of the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you for joining us. It wouldn't be an Anthony Cumia Show if at least once, maybe every other week, but it seems like every week, we don't discuss Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, yes, the great Rosie O'Donnell. You remember Rosie. She was a comic. She had her own talk show. She was insulted by Donald Trump, and she lost her mind. That's pretty much what happened. She's a lesbian. Ooh, look out. And she's had a couple of kids, adopted kids. She's been in relationships with other women where they were, married, I guess. And she had one kid. When she became a teen, she ran away, got into some drugs. Rosie just seemed to forget about her. Like, oh, I don't know what happened. And that was that. Now she has a 12-year-old. Another kid to destroy with her psychosis. Because I could not imagine growing up with the likes of Rosie O'Donnell as your sole parent. She didn't have a guy around there, that's for sure. She didn't even have another woman around there. And anyone that has listened to the Opie and Anthony show or my other internet podcast, you kind of know maybe I didn't grow up in the most perfect family. You know. My dad would call me Pissy Eyes if I cried. That's what he would call me. And amongst other things that I cannot mention on broadcast radio. But it's what it is. You make of it what you can. I can't imagine growing up with the likes of Rosie O'Donnell being your parent. 12 years old, this poor kid. And of course, the kid has to be some other sexuality besides just a girl. What are you? Oh, I'm a heterosexual girl. I'm a girl, whatever. The kid's non-binary. Again, what a coincidence, right? All these Hollywood stars, they have kids or they adopt kids. And the kids are never just regular heterosexual kids. They're all an array of different sexualities. But it has nothing to do with the parents. They're not forcing them into that to push an agenda. They're not convincing the impressionable child that they are indeed bisexual or non-binary or gay or trans. Never. Because they would never do that to bolster their career, you see. Because for some reason in Hollywood, especially of late, having a child that is gay or trans or non-binary or what have you is a great thing. It's a great publicity piece for actors and actresses. And boy, have they used it. So here's Rosie. She had one fail as a kid. She's batting 500 with kids so far. We'll see what happens with this one. But she's in Ireland now, so she can badmouth the United States of America. And listen to Rosie talk about her kids in fascist America.
You know, I have a little non-binary 12-year-old, and she asked me if I was non-binary, and I told her no, I was an OG lesbian bitch, and she said bitch is pejorative, and I said you're too smart for me, you're only 12. But it's wonderful to see a child so assured of who they are. And they asked me, what did your class say when you told them you were gay when you were 10? It was like in America in 1973, you didn't tell your class, you didn't even tell yourself, you know, and we've come a long way, but there are still miles and miles to go. Now that fascism has taken hold in the United States, it's now or never. We're about to lose democracy and lose our country, and LGBTQIA people have to stand up. And we have a tremendous history of doing just that through the AIDS crisis and, you know, through acceptance and Stonewall and everything.
Why do you think LGBT people find such a home in musical theatre?
You know, it's always been the land of misfits. And when I first did my first show, when I was in high school or junior high, I thought, this is where I belong. These are my people. Even though I couldn't really sing or dance, I did not let that stop me. And I've done about 5 Broadway shows since. And to me, the promise of Hollywood and show business is best realized on a Broadway stage. Oh. And show business can be very difficult and very tough. But the Broadway community supports and loves each other. Rosie. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Everything's tough for Rosie. So she's got her 12-year-old, and she's a non-binary. And by the way, what a made-up story. They asked me, what was it like? Did you tell your school that you were gay, 10th grade, 10 years old, whatever it is? That never happened. Rosie told the kid that. The kid wouldn't ask. The kid don't care. And Rosie probably went, do you know what it took back then? I couldn't say anything. You're lucky. I couldn't say anything about my being gay. Being a lesbian. You could just walk around and tell anybody you're non-binary. And then she's got to twist it to make it like the kid asked her a question. Gee, mother, what was it like when you were a child lesbian? Please tell me, Mother. Well, I couldn't say anything. You could say whatever. That's what they just make up stories, and they push these kids. They just push them into this, whatever they want them to be. Non-binary. A 12-year-old? You don't even know what that means in any sense, mathematically. If it was simply ones and zeros mathematically, they don't know what non-binary means at 12. Never mind sexually. And is this a 12-year-old? What are you? Have you matured sexually? Have you matured sexually? Because I don't know if you know what a binary is. Because unless that happens, that will wreak havoc on every aspect of your life. When you're a kid and you like, let me tell you what your pal Anthony liked as a kid. I liked dinosaurs. I loved me some dinosaurs. I would get these models of dinosaurs. There was a line of dinosaur models called Prehistoric Times. And I think I had every single one of them. And they all linked together. So you get like the caveman one, and then you get a Triceratops one, which didn't make sense time-wise, I know. But it was just, and then a T-Rex, of course. And that's what Anthony liked. And then, all of a sudden, something happened. And Anthony didn't care at all about his stupid dinosaurs. All Anthony cared about were girls and how to get them to look at you and like you and talk to you. And then as a little more time went by, how you could maybe conjure up a few more things, a few more sick, twisted ideas, what you could do with these newfound things called girls. But before that, when I liked a Stegosaurus model, I didn't know what I was. There was no possible way that I could come to a reasonable conclusion at 12 that I knew what I was sexually. Unless there was an adult telling me and leading me in a direction of what I was supposed to be, or questioning me in a leading way that I might say something. Like, oh, then I guess I'm non-binary? I don't know. Then you're non-binary. Put your dinosaurs away. Put your dinosaurs away. Put on a backwards hat and try to grow a chin beard. Kids do not know. At that age, they do not know. And even further, and even past puberty in some instances, kids are still going to be confused about something as insane as sexuality. It's an insane part. Remember Star Trek, the original series, when Spock went into amok time? The guy was in his 30s, and he lost his mind. He was the perfect first officer, logical, reasonable, smart. And the Vulcans, every 7 years, go through this, and it was his time, and he went completely mad. He's breaking computers. He's doing that double-handed karate chop on Captain Kirk. Crazy. Because that's what happens. When you become sexually aware, you lose your mind. So the idea that Rosie O'Donnell is going to be there to guide you through it with her agenda, her LGBTQ plus AI agenda, poor kid. She can make the next one out the door just like the first one. Please, Rosie, give me a break. We don't know what the hell is going on through most of our lives. But as a child, you're going to make a decision on your sexuality? Get out of here. Rosie needs to be locked up. Put her in some Irish prison, a dungeon, I guess. I don't know. All right, back in a flash. More of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around. Everything after 12 is a Bob Seger song. It's all you're thinking of. We got tonight. You just think of that, in the back seat of my Chevy, all that nonsense. Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger. Everything before it is a whole different time. Whole different time and place when you're a kid. Oh, my God. In the We Dodged a Bullet Chronicles, the continuing We Dodged a Bullet Chronicles, Kamala Harris has gone on the Colbert Show. Did we even talk about the fact that Colbert got canceled? I mean, no one's watching Late Night. Late Night is a dinosaur. It would have been a model that I would have played with as a child. It's just no one cares about late night talk shows anymore. It's kind of becoming an extinct entertainment form, and I think they put it on the fast track with their political agenda again. Just like what I was saying earlier about Chris Cuomo, these guys have their marching orders. Do you think Johnny Carson had marching orders? Do you think on a nightly basis when Carson came in and spoke with the writers and went over the monologue and talked with his producer, that they said, hey, Johnny, here's NBC, the NBC brass gave us these notes, and they want you to go over this on the show, incorporate it in. Make sure you say this, too. Make sure you say this about Reagan, And he would be like, what? How about you go screw yourselves? It would be over. Johnny has so many clips that are brilliant and funny. Some of them are, his show, every one of them isn't gold. I've watched a lot of full-length Tonight shows when it was the 90-minute version. And, boy, they didn't have an easy time getting guests. Some of them were just outright dull. But you never saw Johnny kowtow to a guest or especially politicians. When he'd have politicians on, he'd ask them tough questions. Never sounding like he had an agenda. And that was the pinnacle, the peak of late night talk show. And I get it. Of course, Letterman, brilliant. Conan was great. But that was much more, even though Johnny was a comedian and the show was very funny, he also made sure he didn't touch on those political agendas that the news was doing. Now, every single one of these guys have marching orders. Even Fallon, little friggin' femme, just jumping around on stage. What is he now? Almost 50, and he's still. Oof. And then the other ones, Kimmel. Yeah, Kimmel is a puppet for the regime. This guy is absolute propaganda for the left. And look, CBS, Paramount took him over, and I don't know their political affiliation. I've heard things, but who knows? Who knows these days what you're hearing, if it's right or wrong or whatever. But I know they looked at the numbers. They looked at the numbers and said, what we're paying out for this show isn't near what we're taking in. It's just too big a gap. So they get rid of him. They got rid of him for that reason. The same week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks later, Paramount signed a deal with South Park for $1 billion, like $1 billion. And the first show they aired was such a funny, degrading parody of Donald Trump. It was really brutal. Thank God, people on the right, people conservative, whatever you want to call it, sane people can see it for what it is. It's a goof, it's a joke, it's humor, it's funny, and that's that. But do you honestly think if Paramount was going to fire Colbert for not jumping on board the Trump train because he's been critical of Donald Trump, that they would give South Park $1 billion and the first thing they do is a scathing parody of Donald Trump? No. You know why? South Park makes money. People watch South Park. People don't watch Colbert. He's terrible. He's not funny. And he will never, ever be able to dance his way away from that vaccine bit. I mean, if that wasn't, I don't know, Mussolini, Stalin-level propaganda, a song and dance number about getting an unproven shot that might have physical repercussions down the line, and you're dancing to it and singing, he'll never get rid of that. That will follow him, and I couldn't be happier. So we had the great and talented Kamala Harris on his show. She had just recently dropped out, if she was ever in it, of the California gubernatorial race. She's been talking about running. Yeah, and you know what happens? Let me tell you exactly what happens. She's like, I'm thinking of running for governor. Well, her people check into it. They do surveys. They look into the numbers. They crunch those numbers. And you know what came back? There's no way in hell anyone wants to vote for you for anything. You're a dummy. You're incompetent, inept, and there's not a chance that you're ever going to come close to winning this race. And then they go, okay, well, you know something, Stephen, I just think I could do more as myself, just inspiring people. That's why she's not running for California governor. They told her there's no chance. I don't know how many people believed when they anointed her as the presidential candidate for the past election. I don't know how many people honestly believed that Americans liked her. But she did. She sure believed it. And even the people on the left and the Democrats that didn't like her believed that other people did like her. So she could win this. Oh, and then to get Beyonce up on the stage. And then talk about dodging that bullet. Man. It's just astounding that we don't have her. But it really is the people. The American people just went, I cannot picture an America with her as the commander-in-chief. I won't. And I think I don't think Biden would have done any better than her. Newsom might have. The Democrats might have come out. They might have been able to pull another scam to win the election if they had a viable candidate that America might have believed could have won. But everyone knew there was no way in hell Kamala legitimately could have won that election. And even cheating, you'd have to think, no one's going to believe this. They're all going to think we're lying. I've yapped over the clip, but we'll get back, and we'll play the clip in a few minutes, right on the other side of the break, as they call it. So stick around. Back with a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show in mere moments. We do appreciate it. I was just talking about Stephen Colbert's show, and Kamala Harris was on and asked a simple question. This is so easy. And, God, if I may go off again about Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson had Ronald Reagan on a couple of times when he was the governor and when he was running for president. And he would ask him legitimate questions that, were not just softball, easy, dictated by the campaign. Like, here's the questions to ask him. He's got, and Johnny would ask him and Reagan would answer. And regardless of what the answer was, it wasn't this just pat, nonsensical answer that just didn't give anyone any inkling of what this guy was all about. You knew who Reagan was when he was running for president and when he was running for governor of California. Now, it's a softball question. Stephen Colbert asks Kamala, who, and this is a question I think everybody could get behind, who is the leader of the Democrats? Who would you say has the best chance of maybe running for president in 2028? Or who's the one that the Democrats look to for leadership and go, yeah, this guy says we should get cracking on this, or we should all get behind this bill or something. And they have leadership ability. It seems like an easy question. You're a Democrat. You were the vice presidential candidate. You were the vice president. You were the presidential candidate. And that should be a question. You know who the Democrats are. Who is the leadership in the Democrat Party? Well, let's see what Kamala has to say.
You're not running for office right now. Yeah. You're stepping away from that life right now. Who's leading the Democratic Party? I'm just curious.
There are lots of leaders. And
there's generally a leader of the Democratic Party. You know, like, oh, that's the leader of the Democratic Party. Who comes to mind?
I think there are a lot of, I'm not going to go through names because then I'm going to leave somebody out and then I'm going to hear about it. But let me say this. I think it is a mistake for us who want to figure out how to get out and through this and get out of it, to put it on the shoulders of any one person. It's really on all of our shoulders. It really is.
Yes. Well, it really is.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for being here.
Be with you,
Madam Vice President. Did you hear again? She's asked a simple question. Throw out a few names. You know, Republicans, who do you see as leadership after Donald Trump? J.D. Vance. I don't know. There's a name. Marco Rubio. There you go. Ted Cruz seems to have a lot of influence over the Republican. You could just name someone. And here's why. She is so stupid and she's so narcissistic and self-centered that she can't even imagine anyone good. Who? What? I don't know. Me? I'm great. Aside from that, I don't know, Stephen. I don't know what to tell you. You imagine that? She didn't come up with one person and then uses the excuse, I don't want to leave anyone out. I don't know. Well, Stephen, I don't know. And then we need to find a way to get out of the thing we're in. Because being in, when you want to be out, is in, not out. And I think we all can, in some way, sympathize with Donald Trump standing up on that riser in Butler, Pennsylvania, when the bullet whizzed past his ear, hearing it right past your ear. That is the bullet we dodged. He dodged a literal bullet. We dodged the proverbial bullet when this woman was relegated to the trash heap that she so belongs in. Because where would we be? I honestly think the same exact people, and I don't think this is going, I'm going out on a limb here, The same exact people that were pulling the strings for Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden's the president. Yeah, right. Would have just continued right on with their mission, just with a brandy new puppet, Kamala Harris. Put her out there, put her in front of a podium, let her speak in front of the, whatever. And she make a little joke. And they'll do all the work. They'll be behind the scenes destroying this country. Could you imagine the border right now? Look, I love what Trump's done sealing up the border. I like what's going on with ICE and the Border Patrol in trying to clean up the mess that Joe Biden and whoever was running him put into this country with the unfettered illegals running over the border. I would love to see millions deported every day. It just can't happen, unfortunately. It's a lot easier to say what you want than it is to actually do it. If your house gets flooded, well, I'd love to be able to take a mop and clean it up in one day. But the water was 6 feet up the walls. It's going to take a little more effort. And that's what we had. We had a flood of illegals come in. And I believe this administration's doing what they can and still trying to keep some sanity in the political world. Me personally, use a bulldozer. I don't care. Get them out. But that's, that. Imagine a Kamala Harris, I just got the chills, administration. And what that border would look like. It would still be wide open. Regardless of how many people Trump is kicking out, the border is solid. The border is sealed off. Statistically, zero. I mean, obviously some stragglers are coming in, but this organized, concerted effort to bring tens of thousands in a day is not happening. And it didn't take a bipartisan bill that they just didn't pass. And it took a president and an administration behind him to say, we have to shut the border down. The military. How did they convince so many people that the United States military, that the United States taxpayers pay for, were somehow unable to protect the border? That there was some weird ethical thing that was not right about using our military to protect our own border. They tried to sell us on that, saying, no, it's illegal, it's this, it's that. Do you think any American would rather have soldiers on the border keeping people out than shipped overseas for some war that has nothing to do with us? I think the majority of Americans would say, yeah, put them on the border. That's your mental patients. But that was kind of good to see. I really did appreciate seeing Trump really take the bull by the horns here and shut down the border. We don't have these people coming over in the numbers that we did because it was killing this country, killing it. It was an infection coming across the border. And if it wasn't stopped, it's over. We see it. We see it in the UK, all over the EU. And these are small countries. They don't have a lot of time to spend debating the topic while they're flooded with illegals. Do you know, I saw something the other day. I don't even think, let me look if I put it on the sheet. I wish I did. It was in Australia. They put out, because Australia's an island in the middle of nowhere in a hemisphere no one lives in. I mean, it's the southern what? They have problems with their illegals or some indigenous people. And their preferred weapons are machetes, the big sword-like things. And they put a PSA out the other day, and it's hilarious. It looks like a bit. It's a woman politician and a couple of guys, maybe law enforcement, and they're in front of a big bin that looks like where you drop off your clothes for the homeless or charity in a parking lot, big metal bin. And she's going, "Oi, this is where you put your machetes. If you're walking down the street and you have a machete, put it in the bin. Make Australia a lot safer." And you're like, what? Wait, what? You're telling people to drop off machetes. If your country has gotten so bad that you have to tell people to drop off their machetes, you got a problem. And I don't think it's a machete problem. I think it's a person wielding the machete problem. That seems to be what you got. And the UK, for their crowing all the time about, America and their guns. They have a knife problem. People like to stab each other in the UK. That seems to be the thing. So again, it's not so much the weapon. And look, sorry, guns are very efficient at killing people. I like when people argue about, we'll play the Mamdani clip, rack up the Mamdani assault weapon clip too, because that's irrelevant. But we hear it all the time. It's like, why does anyone need an assault weapon? All they are is a machine to kill. Yeah, that's what guns are. I don't think you'll get an argument there. Why does anyone need an AR-15? Its sole purpose is to kill. Yup. That's right. And it does it well. That's why I have like 5 of them. Because I don't trust that some other entity is going to care for me and keep me safe if the crap hits the fan, as they say. I want the most efficient tool that I can use to level the playing field if there's a conflict. And, I'm not paranoid. I'm not, let me grab it. They're coming over not till you see the whites of their eyes. But to think there can't be some type of upheaval in the world we live in 2025 where you won't need to protect yourself and your loved ones, you're the one that's being a little stupid. So when you hear people in England saying that, guns, you and your guns, you got the same stupid instincts over there. These, the few people that want to inflict harm and damage upon people, they just use knives. You're not allowed to have guns. Every so often someone does get a gun. But it's a lot easier to police a tiny island or even an island nation where there's, I feel like the UK, a couple of islands. It's very easy to keep people from bringing things you don't want into your country when you have a very small coastline. When you have the United States of America, where we can't keep anything out, you want to keep guns out of the U.S.? Start with fentanyl. Start with pot. Start with coke. And take a look at that and see how well we've done over the course of the years keeping those things out. And now just imagine in your wildest hallucinations that the government somehow was able to outlaw guns without the people going completely nuts and overthrowing the government. But let's say they did. You don't think that the greatest illegal import into this country would be guns? And it ain't England. It's not a little country where you could pretty much keep an eye on what's coming into your country. It's the United States. And, hopefully no one ever gets to that point. The Democrats talk a good game, but, I think they understand that the American people would not stand for a gun confiscation, even just for assault weapons. I just don't see it happening. I don't see how you could knock on an American citizen's door and say, hi, we're here. We have our orders to take the 4 AR-15s that we know you own. And that just going smoothly. I can't see that going smoothly. You look at things like Waco and Ruby Ridge, very, very isolated incidents of kind of the same thing. We hear you have some guns. They're illegal. We're coming to get them. Now, times that by 300 million. And, see how that goes. I think that's why the Democrats talk a game. They talk some tough language when it comes to gun control. Reasonable. It's just reasonable gun control. And meanwhile, it's the proverbial slippery slope, dominoes, whatever you want to call it. We know where they want to end up. But, we've done good in this country. We've done pretty good with defending some of our rights to the point where, let's just say they're not getting taken away tomorrow. And I think it's basically because of the strength of the American people. That is really, the Second Amendment is really based on the American people saying, this is our right. It's not your representative in Washington. They help. They help when the Democrats come up with a bill. It's not the NRA, which is a great advocate for Second Amendment rights. It's the fear. There is a fear. We do have power, people. The American people are feared by the government that they don't think that it's viable for them to just knock on America's doors and say, we're here for your semi-automatic weapons. They could do it in Canada. What are they? Pussies. But at least I believe that. I still believe that. I hope I never get to have to, eat my words and say, boy, I sure thought that this would have been a lot harder for the government to do. But I have a slingshot. I still got my slingshot. They're not taking that from my cold, dead hands. I don't know. I sure hope we're that dedicated to our rights to not have them just snatched away like that. But all right. Right back at you in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show. Another wonderful Sunday evening spent with you, the fine people listening. I do appreciate it. Donald Trump has been a pretty strong advocate of stopping politicians, especially senators, congresspeople, people in the know, from trading stocks, trading commodities. This obviously is a conflict, if not insider trading directly. I mean, I think any citizen, if it was found out by the SEC that they had knowledge about a certain company that these politicians do have knowledge about, and they use that knowledge to enrich themselves by buying or selling stock, that would be insider trading, and that person would be prosecuted. For some reason, politicians in high places like Nancy Pelosi are allowed to trade stocks with knowledge that no other person has before anyone else has it. And this has been a thing for years. This is why politicians that have a yearly salary of maybe $200 and some odd $1,000 emerge from their tenure as senator or congressperson or what have you, hundreds of millions of dollars richer, as is Nancy Pelosi right now. Now, she says her husband does it all. I don't know. My husband's the guy that does the trading. Oh, the brilliant stock analyst who got his head hit with a hammer by a homeless male prostitute, if you ask me. See, I know what to say, if you ask me. But, we've seen so many instances of politicians getting rich beyond anyone's wildest dreams. And you go, what was their pay? How did that happen? And they're serving the public. I love that one. Whenever a politician dies or retires, in the rare case they actually retire, that's what you hear. Oh, he just always wanted to be in the service of the people, serving the public for 45 years. Boy, that's some service when you leave and you have $200 million. I want that kind of service. That's the service I'll do. Because how are they getting it? Socking away that paycheck? And how is someone representative of the people? If you're representing me, why ain't I making that kind of money? You're just telling people what I want, my wishes. You're in Washington to tell people what our community or our district or our state wants and needs. How do you make so much money and we're still broke? How does that work? So this has been a topic that's come up quite a few times. And Trump brought it up during a little presser. He was standing there. The media's there. He'll talk. Trump talks. And let's listen to what he says about Nancy Pelosi and insider trading.
Things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a more obvious conflict there than Nancy Pelosi, and it's a lot of politicians, and Republicans also. There's a great website that I go to where it shows what their investments are, because they do have to say what they're buying and selling. But it doesn't matter. No one's going to call them on it. When NVIDIA took off because of some governmental regulations that were lifted and other things that the government had to do with NVIDIA, the stock took off. Pelosi made a fortune on NVIDIA stock. Luck? She rolled the dice? Was she up to N in the stock book and just picked that? I mean, it could not be more obvious. She's wealthy beyond imagination. She's privy to information that no one else is. And she's heavily involved in stock trading and has had so many wins that it's obvious something was going on. And now she's one of the first ones, because I heard her talking about this the other day, and she went, "No, I agree that they shouldn't be allowed to trade. I'm one with that." And you're like, "What? Yeah, you already made a fortune. You already made your fortune. Of course, you're going to say that to maybe get the stench off of you, so the bloodhounds don't find you, because you were committing crimes by trading on stocks that you had information on. How does this happen? Oh, Lord have mercy. People, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate you guys supporting me. Anthony Cumia on Twitter and Compound Media on YouTube. Subscribe, follow, and we'll be right back here next week with another great 3 hours of the Anthony Cumia Show. We appreciate the support.